Oh, starts immediately. Hey, Miss Amy, thank you for meeting with me.
No problem.
All right, I have a couple of questions to ask you, if you don't mind. So, what is the role of a school counselor in relation to teachers, parents, and administrators and other counselors?
The school counselor is here to represent student services and to kind of be the voice of the student a lot of times. So as far as teachers and all go, we're close allies with them. We work real closely with them day in and day out, making sure that the students' needs are met so that they can, fulfill their academic potential. Mm-hmm. So we kind of try to remove all the barriers to learning for them. Mm-hmm. It's same with parents. We work closely with parents. If there's something going on at home that's going to impact the academics, then we try to help with whatever is going on. Just taking care of that social emotional learning piece so that they can get on with the business of learning all the other things they have to do. And administrators, we work very closely with them. They come to us to kind of intervene and be on the preventative side. Mm-hmm. And help the students so that they can stay out of trouble and don't end up in their office for the wrong things. And let's see, and other counselors, Ms. Hoffman and I work real closely together. She's my right hand, I'm her right hand. We are together on all of it. We discuss different cases. We team on a lot of those things. We coordinate with other counselors in other schools and try to just, we're just kind of wherever we need to be.
Okay, the same, a referral.
We do referrals. We refer out to mental health. We have school-based mental health counseling here at GC, and we just had staffing today with Elizabeth Randall, our mental health worker, and we discuss cases. We talk about the referrals that we're making to her, and she keeps us updated on anything that mental health thinks that we need to be doing. I think what else? Different agencies, and we have a school social worker as well, so we refer to her, and she works with people in the home, and we work with outside DSS and different things. I coordinate backpack buddies for Low Country Food Bank because we try to bring in food and things for families.
Oh, that's good.
Anything like that, we just kind of are the go-to for coordinating with the community.
Okay, good. Yeah. What influenced you to be a school counselor?
Oh, that's a good one. I was initially in school to be a teacher, and so I finished that. I taught first grade at this same community for 3 years. And while I was doing that, when I was in college, I was drawn to the ed psych stuff. I really liked that. I was talking to one of my ed psych professors. I think I want to be a school psychologist, and she said, "Go work for a year, and then come back and tell me what you want to do." So I went out, and I had a little boy in my class that he was awful, and I, was working with him, and I loved it. And he and I got to a point where we, really, he was a foster kid, and all of his stuff was emotional. And I thought, I want to be a school counselor. So I went back and got my master's to do that. And then that's when I talked to her about it, she said, "Yeah, I thought you'd rather be hands-on with the kids and not testing them." So that's why I did what I did. Okay. I've loved it. 32 years worth.
Oh, wow. 32 years.
That's my 32nd year.
Wow. Almost like me.
Now I've been around a long
time. What counseling theory or approach that you mostly follow?
Because of the school setting and the needs it has to be brief counseling. So it's a lot of brief, a lot of reality, is that working for you? Okay, so what can we do? Cognitive behavioral stuff, a lot of that type of stuff, depending on what the need is. But we have to kind of triage and do it quick. And then if it's long term, then we refer out. So we're in there for, short term, trying to get to the heart of the matter quickly so that we can keep them moving and keep them progressing. So,
now, how long are y'all sessions?
That kind of an actual session with a child could be anywhere from 15 minutes to 45, depending on what's going on. Maybe 30 individual. The groups are usually 30 minutes when we do groups. And we usually try to see them. Some we see like daily just for brief check-in, check-outs, just to monitor behavior and stuff. But then others we see maybe once a week. And if it looks like they need a lot more individual, then we refer out pretty quick. Within 3 to 5 times, we'll say, this child needs therapy, not just school counseling, and we refer out.
Okay. Let's see. How would you divide your time between meeting with immediate needs of students and keeping up with paperwork?
Oh gosh. You know, paperwork's done when you can. So a lot of it is just getting it done, even if afternoons, evenings, if we have to. And trying to focus on what the kids need. You know, some days are more heavy on just getting to the individuals and all that, you know, things are popping up because we put out a lot of fires. But then other days, you know, there's a lot of programming that has to happen. So, you know, we try to balance it. There's never a good balance, though. There's never a good balance.
How do you keep yourself organized and discuss your multitasking?
Oh, organized. I'm a wannabe. I want to be organized. I've done this for a long time, so I kind of have learned which things I have to do right away and which things I can put off. Because I've done it for a long time, I have a lot of things saved on my computer that I can just go in and, you know, change dates and do different form letters are all done, things like that, and I can just tweak them. So that saves a lot of time. Yeah, but there's a hard balance with it because there's trying to schedule, you know, classroom, because we're in the classrooms every other week with all the classes. So, you know, we have classroom lessons that we're teaching on the preventative side of our job, and then the responsive services part of it with small groups and individuals and everything. That's where scheduling gets to be really complicated because kids that come to see us are also involved in, you know, maybe speech therapy, or they're having to go to reading intervention, or, you know, other things. So we're trying to make sure we keep them in the classroom as much as we can and pull them at times that are convenient for them and not just for us. So yeah, the organization is a tough thing. Try to use as much technology as I can to benefit. Lacey and I work real closely together trying to develop the calendar and, you know, make sure we're covering all the bases and get things done. Try to stick to a schedule when people
race. It don't work.
Most days, no. I always have a good to-do list. Always.
Everything get crossed off.
That's right. It's kind of being a mom. You just you're the mom of the school. You just do what you need to do.
That's true. How do you handle stress?
I just, you know, I've done this for a while, so I kind of know. You know, I'll talk to people when I need to talk to them. Lacey and I vent to each other, you know, when we're frustrated about something. You know, I try to take care of myself, you know, I walk and do things like that just to try to keep myself physically well. And I know that I have to take care of me first and then, you know, try to get all the other stuff done. So you just kind of keep it in perspective, you know, when you have to remember too that the better you are at letting it be their problem and not internalizing whatever you're hearing. You know, you can't let their emotions be your emotions because you don't get your client anywhere with that. So you have to, you know, keep that right there in the forefront. You know, this isn't about me. This is them. And so we focus on.
I'm learning that.
Yeah, it's hard. At first, I mean, it was really hard. At first, it was. I'd go home with, you know, but then every day I just say, did you do the best you could today? You know, did you do as much? And yes, I did. So then I can go home and sleep and know that tomorrow's a new day and I can tackle it again tomorrow. But yeah, at first, you know, I took a whole lot of the emotions with me, and then I started realizing my emotion, me being emotional about it, didn't do them any good. I needed to help them. So that helps a lot, keeping it in perspective.
Okay. Let's see. What is your experience with the 504 accommodation plans?
I've had lots of experience with when they first came about. I was around, and so I was actually a 504 coordinator for a while. Now that's an administrator's role. So they are the person who coordinates all the paperwork and getting everything done. And then I'm part of the team. So I go in as, you know, when they're building the report and, you know, when they're determining eligibility and stuff, then we're part of that team that works with that.
And what's the difference between 504 and IEP?
504 is just to recognize disability, and so you're making accommodations for that disability. So, you know, it could be a range of things. You know, if they just needed if they were ADHD and needed extra time for testing, they may not need, you know, as much as an IEP would offer. So IEPs are the next level, and where you're actually writing an individual plan instead of just putting a few accommodations in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just kind of varies depending on what it is. They're all, I mean, they really are all individual because you just you're like if a child had anxiety to the point where it was interfering with their learning, then and they have a diagnosis, then we can put 504 accommodations in place to make sure. So it just sort of depends on what the need is.
Okay. What do you know about this school and what you consider the strength and the weaknesses?
This school. I've been here a long time. We just changed from, and this from Goose Creek Primary School, where we were, the hub of all early childhood learning, K through 2, and now we're in elementary school, so we've got 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So this is a big learning year for us. Now, I've worked with up to 4th graders before, so, that part I was kind of excited about because you can actually be more of a counselor with them. I did a lot of play therapy with the little ones, so now I'm actually doing the talk stuff more. So that's been fun. But this is one of our weaknesses, I think, would be that we're growing right now, so we're trying to figure out the best way to serve the older kids and what the schedules need to look like for them and what are the things that they need us, how do they need us to be involved with them in counseling and everything. The strengths is we got a lot of heart in this building. I mean, we've got people that like me that have been around the community for a long time. We love our community. We want to work with these families. We've got a high need. I mean, we're a Title I school, so we've got a lot of needs in this building with these kids and their families, but we all want to connect with them and help them so they can, have the success that they need. And it's, that's our biggest strength is just the heart, because we've got some people that will work their tails off for these people, for these kiddos. So,
Now, is this you and another counselor?
Yeah, the 2 of us.
Okay, so what was it before that y'all had them?
We had 2.
2, so y'all didn't feel the need to add more since?
Oh, we feel the need to add more. We feel the need.
Because you added more green, so.
Yeah, we'll be glad to have the help. Our number-wise, it stayed about the same.
Oh, okay.
So, it's just the configuration of who's here now.
Okay.
So, but the big kids need us. They need us.
Yeah. I agree. Let's see. This is another one. How would you divide your time between meetings, the immediate needs of the students, and keeping up with paperwork?
Oh, you asked me that one.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah. Needs come first.
Oh, yeah. Transition plans. Do you do
transition plans?
Yes, transition plans. What experience with transition plans do y'all even do?
Well, we do transitioning, and it kind of depends. I mean, from grade to grade.
Either that, or even transitioning from elementary to middle.
Yeah, and that's one thing when and before we were primary to intermediate, we would meet with the other schools. One thing that all of our teachers would do, and I'm sure we'll do it with 5th graders going up to middle. Our 2nd grade used to meet with the 3rd grade teachers at the other school and talk about, what they'd been doing. And then we sent over the behavior cards and things like that. The academic levels and all that are all on the cards. So they would send over information. And we would meet with the other counselor, and we used to set up orientations where we'd take the kids over so they could see the building and get a tour and, get excited about going. So, we probably, we hadn't really talked about it yet for this going up to the middle school, but I know that we'll probably be looking at things like that in the spring.
Field trip.
Yeah, hopefully we can get them over there or at least maybe even if we can't take them all physically over there, we can, maybe do some videos and, put out some things, do it virtually and get them.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, it'd be great. We've got we have a career specialist who works with all the schools in our feeder. And so she's been coming over here and helping us with our career club and stuff, and she helps us with career days, and she'll be teaching some of the things. And she's actually at the middle school, so she'll be a good person because the kids will have seen her, and then they'll see her at the middle school.
Well, that's good.
So, yeah,
that's
she's
different.
awesome.
I mean, everything's done on the computer now, so Skype and all that stuff. So they know about all that.
That's right. They know about the virtual world.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, how would you deal with cultural differences in a school setting?
We deal with a lot of cultural differences, and we try to, I think first and foremost as a counselor, you have to be willing to hear where the other person's coming from, whatever their culture, whatever their point of view is. You have to be willing to listen and be open to that they might do things differently than you would. So for me, that's not really difficult to I enjoy hearing what's different with a lot of our families. A lot of our families coming in from other countries and all, just hearing about their experience and all is eye-opening for me. So understanding that if somebody's doing something a little bit differently, then that could be, why, because it could be a cultural thing and not just assuming, this person's doing something willfully. Because I know a lot of behavior problems and stuff that we deal with, sometimes it's a learning curve. They're trying to assimilate to our culture and where, we need to understand that they just didn't know from where they did. So just being open and, listening and not, trying to judge everything.
Exactly. Most of the kids, are they bilingual? Because I see a lot
Many
of
are.
stuff.
Many are, yeah.
Now, have y'all had anybody who speak just a certain language, and how do y'all handle that?
We have many children that come into us and we're their first school experience outside of their country. So they're amazing because they will pick up on it so fast. We have, I think we're up to 5 ELL teachers. So we have a really great support staff with that. So they're working with them to develop the English as a second language. And then we have a full-time translator.
Oh, okay, that stays on campus?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
And so she is our right hand. She's our bilingual counselor because Lacey and I don't speak Spanish or Portuguese or any of the others. So Gretel does all of that for us. And so she's great because she's with us in conferences, and she has no problem calling parents and all. And our front office staff, they added, Wanda. And Wanda is amazing. She, we can say, Wanda, can you call this parent and tell them this? And she'll, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I saw her earlier, and she was sitting there, and I'm looking at her. She looked just like me. But then she picked up the phone, and she was speaking English. Next thing you know, like, and I was like, oh.
She switches it on and off. It's like,
and I was like,
and she'll go, hey, Mama. Hey, Mama. I love yours. Hey, Mama.
She's great.
Yeah, she's great. And she's very good with the kids, too, because of funding some. And a lot of the kids will translate for us, too. Oh, I've got a little girl in second grade, but she translates as well as our translator. I mean, she's like I thought you lived here your whole life. How'd you learn that? And she just has the ear for it. And she lived in Mexico for 1 year. And she came back, and she's like this.
Lord.
Wish that was me.
I'm still in Spanish 101.
I told him, I said, that window slammed shut and got nailed down with me.
It's hard.
I know. I try. I get real excited when I understand a few words. Oh, I understood that. You said school, and you said bus.
Let's see. Oh, what experience?
Miss Goad and Miss Glisson, please dial extension 2010. Miss Goad and Miss Glisson, please dial extension 2010.
And it's loud here.
What experience have you had in working with special needs children?
A good bit. Over the years, we've had many different configurations with special needs. When we first started, we had emotionally disturbed, and that was my favorite group to work with because they were always interesting. And so we've had everything, every different thing that's identified. We've had classes of self-contained and resource over the years, and so I've worked real closely on IEP teams, and actually in the classrooms with those kids, and trying to work with their families too, because families need a lot of support and needs and all with that. So we've I don't know anything specific you're thinking about. Counseling wise, it depends on what level they're at. Learning disabilities, things like that are easy to help. Excuse me. Those kids are verbal and you can, but nonverbal kids, it's tough. No, but Gretel or Lacey might have. Okay. Yeah. No problem. But yeah, it just, it depends on their level of being able to participate in the counseling. A lot of our preschoolers, we're working mainly with their parents and their teachers and trying to help them that way. So, it just sort of, like I said, it depends on what the disability is and what we can actually do. A lot of the kids, the ED kids and the LD kids, they're just like working with any other child. We can engage them. We can put them in groups and work with them. And a lot of our kids that are nonverbal really benefit from groups. When I was doing play groups with the younger ones, sometimes I would include one that was nonverbal because, with play, they can still participate and they can still do a lot. So we try to do what we can, whatever's appropriate.
So what would you do if one of your kids tell you that they're being abused?
Report it. That's that's pretty. I mean, that's the law. And so, when we first meet the kids in classroom, and when we're talking to them individually and all, one of the things we say is, what you tell us stays between you and me, unless I think you or somebody else is being hurt. And then we might need to tell somebody. And I don't specify DSS. I mean, you tell me something's dangerous on the bus, and I'm going to say, hey, we need to go tell Dr. Prelite. That's pretty serious. So I said, I'll always tell you if I need to tell somebody, and then we'll talk about what happens next. So if a child tells me something that's clearly abusive, or even if it's not clear, if I just have a question, if I've got a suspicion, then I'm going to call DSS. And I'll tell the child,
Good afternoon.
we need to talk to somebody, so I'm going to have somebody come talk to you and find out more information about that and make sure that you're safe. And that's when we kind of just go from there.
So they come here.
It kind of depends. When you make a DSS report, they assign it a response time. So, if it's something, and now if I feel like it's severe and the child doesn't need to go home, I'll call law enforcement. And we'll do an emergency protective. I'll have a police officer come talk to them along with the caseworker, and then they'll decide whether they need to put them in emergency protective custody. But if I feel like it's a situation that they're okay, that just needs to be checked on, then the caseworkers have an assigned time. Excuse me. And depending on what that is, they might get to the school to talk to them, but sometimes they go to the home.
Oh, okay.
And so it just sort of depends on.
And would the parents be notified that this happened?
We do not notify the parents because the caseworkers need to make that first contact.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if the parents call after that, I have no problem talking to the parent about, what it is that we were concerned about, and, letting them know. Because, sometimes a lot of times they don't call. You'd be surprised. It's like, okay. But then they will call, and they'll be fired up, and so. That's
what I was about to ask you. If you had a fired up parent.
We get fired up parents. And, you just listen to them. The thing about calling DSS and, reporting, I don't have a choice. I'm not there. I'm not a witness to what happened. I'm required to report any suspicion, so the law is the law, and I'm going to follow the law because I'm not going to jail for anybody. So, I'm just asking for for somebody to check into it. I'm just requesting an investigation, and I'm not putting any judgments on it. And that's what I tell the parents, I'm not in your home. I am not judging. I'm a parent. Lord knows I've had moments where, I've been yelling and screaming. My daughter, I will just barely raise my voice. You're yelling at me. Girl, you've heard me yell. This is not yelling. So, I understand as a parent. If I'm not standing there watching it, I don't necessarily know what happened. I don't know what your child was doing to make you go get the switch. But, so there's no judgment on that. I'm just doing what I'm required to do by law. So we still want to work with you. Don't feel like we're out to get you. I'll help you with the caseworker, but can't do much about it. So,
what if you see one of your parents out in town or your student?
I see them all the time.
And you speak to them?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We speak, we hug. I have to tell parents a lot of times when a kid runs up to me and grabs me in the store, I'm like, they know me from school. I'm not a strange lady. So, I'll chat with them all. I don't I'm not on social media. Excuse me. I've been doing that all. Okay. Excuse me. I'll probably sneeze again. Here it comes.
Just going around.
Oh God, no. My husband's all sinusy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I try not to like, engage in any kind of conference. That kind of, parents will sometimes ask me, well, and I try to just keep that brief and say, why don't you call school and we'll talk more.
Oh, yeah.
Because when we're out, I don't want to get into all that. I'll just say, hey, how are you? And are you finding something good in the store? And I'm not on social media, so I don't have to worry about anybody asking for a friend request or anything like that. I wouldn't accept one if they did. And I purposely didn't go on Facebook and stuff when it started because I didn't want students that I used to have asking me and I'm like, I don't even need to go there. Both my husband's a teacher too, and he has a huge population he's taught. So it's like, we don't need to be Facebook friends. We'll just keep it cool.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't have any problem chatting with parents. And back when my kids were in school with some of the kids, we ended up at birthday parties and stuff together. And, I just don't talk about school with answer. We'll talk about other stuff in my school.
Because while I'm in this profession and in class and stuff, they kind of tell us, don't even look. Just kind of walk away.
Well, yeah, as a mental health counselor, you end up, I did private practice for a little while part-time. And so as their therapist, it's a little, you don't want to get you don't want a therapy session in the middle of Walmart. So you have to just kind of, and I've had some parents that have, tried to say, well, what about, and I'm like, call me, because I got to go. So, it is, it's tricky. You just have to be nice. That's right. I don't mind hugging and saying hi. So.
Okay. Have you ever had a faculty member or a coworker child in your caseload?
Yes. As far as the counseling part, trying to think back over the years. Typically, the staff members' kids are not. There was one a few years back, but that child also had an outside therapist, so I could easily, we're very, and especially in primary school, we're very preventative. So we're trying to get in there and do, small things quickly, and also I don't have to delve into a lot of therapy stuff. So even like if one of the teacher's kids was having trouble with separating and stuff, I could just go in and, kind of intervene with that. So we weren't getting into any nitty gritty stuff. If there was something really severe, I'd probably real quickly say to a staff member, you really need an outside therapist because, this isn't going to be a school thing. But if it's just a school thing, like they're having trouble in class or something, then I'll have a problem working with them.
Okay. Last question. What if one of your students talk about killing themselves? It's very hot right now, so.
Yeah. We have in Berkeley County, we have a suicide risk assessment that we go through. And so there's a protocol. Some of our kids, and especially when we're primary, they say things that make you say, and then, so we immediately speak to them and try to find out what was your intent when you said that. And so sometimes we realize that they just were being, oh my gosh, and they had it was just being dramatic. And so, we notate that, talk to the parents, say, the inappropriate expression of sad or mad, usually it's because they're mad that something happened to them. So they pop off with that. But if we really sit down with them and then we start hearing that they're more than just a little frustrated with the situation, or if they were more graphic in what they said or what they were doing, then we delve more into it. And so the current protocol, we rate it low, medium, high. They're getting ready to do away with that. But anytime I do one at all, I make immediate contact with the family and we talk about it. If I'm really concerned that it was more than just a moment of drama, I'll have the parent come in and they have to sit down and talk with me. And we make a plan to try to get into mental health right away, or if it's not imminent, then we sign the contract. There's a student contract in the protocol and a parent contract. So we go through signing all that. And actually a team staffs it. Lacey and I will staff it. One of us will do the interview, and then we'll staff it together and with administration, and we'll decide as a team, what level we think it is and how much we need to push for it. Whether they need to go immediately to, get assessed outside, or we can call mobile crisis with mental health.
Yeah, one of my classmates works for mobile crisis.
Yeah, so we can call them, and get them involved if we need to. Or a lot of times we'll call mental health with the parent right there and say, we're sending them up to you right now, and so they'll do the intake with the parent and get on up there. Get them seen.
And most of the time the parents is like okay with it, or they try.
Most of the parents do. Sometimes you get parents that are like, it's no big deal, it's. And I've called DSS about that before. I mean, that if I've really felt like a parent wasn't taking it seriously and it was a serious, I'll call DSS and say, listen, we're worried about this child. We've involved school resource officers before to check on them and to make sure that everybody's okay, at home. And if we got any concerns at all, we try to follow up with it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we don't. That's one thing we don't play around.
Yeah, I see it a lot on the news now that this child hung herself or being bullied a lot, and it kind of starts now that y'all have a higher grade, 4th and 5th added. That's kind of the ages that it starts. And
the older kids we're real concerned about. We're being real. As the little ones, they would say things, and then when you talk to them, you realize they had no clue what they were saying. They don't even really know what dead is, and they don't know. And so they're still here developmentally, so you weren't quite as worried. But as they get older, you start to hear, and some of them really do feel that badly. So you really want to talk to them. And I used to do suicide hotline, which is great training. If you ever have a chance to do it, it was amazing because being with people on the phone and listening to them, just that active listening piece. That you would hear their stories and go, oh man, you are dealing with so much. So just trying to give them that little ray of hope and being somebody there with them. So that's what we try to do, is make sure that they know you can keep coming and talk to us. And every suicide risk assessment has an action plan attached to it, and so we have to write an action plan that says what we're going to do going forward. So the parents are going to take them to be assessed for mental health, and we're going to this person's going to be checking on them every day. They're going to come in and talk once a week for a session, or twice a week, or every single day if they need to. So we put something in place to follow up with them.
Okay, that's good.
Try to do it. Do the best you can. So.
That's good. Well, thank you for your time.
Is that it?
Yes.
Oh well.
All right,
Let me know if I need to. Bye. Hope that helped.